You have a bottle of canola oil in your kitchen. You have probably cooked with it this week. The label is clean, the oil is clear, everything about it looks like it came straight from nature. Canola is not a plant. There is no canola crop anywhere on Earth. The word was invented in the late 1970s. The oil actually comes from a plant called rapeseed, renamed because no grocery shopper in North America would pick up a bottle with that word on it. But here is something that might surprise you. That oil went through 6 steps of chemical processing before it reached your shelf. And one of those steps involves a solvent that the FDA does not even require testing for in the finished product. That solvent is called hexane. You have never seen it on an ingredient label because it is classified as a processing aid, not an ingredient. It does not have to appear on the bottle. Hexane is also used in rubber cement, shoe glue, and industrial cleaning solvents. Nearly every bottle of canola oil, soybean oil, and sunflower oil on American store shelves was extracted using it at some point in production. The FDA does not require manufacturers to test whether hexane residue remains in the finished oil. That does not mean the oil is dangerous. It means nobody is required to check. So what actually happens to that oil before it reaches your kitchen? 6 steps stand between the seed and your kitchen shelf. Step 1. Cleaning and conditioning. Rapeseed arrives at the crushing plant, each seed the size of a ballpoint pen tip, black and glossy outside, pale yellow inside mixed with dirt, rocks, stems, and weed seeds. Screens, magnets, and air separators strip every piece of debris. The clean seeds are heated to about 80 degrees Celsius, warm enough to make the oil inside flow more easily, then rolled flat into paper-thin flakes by heavy steel rollers. The goal is to rupture the oil-bearing cells inside each seed. You cannot squeeze oil from an intact seed efficiently, the cell walls trap it. Step 2. Pressing. The flakes feed into an expeller press, a steel screw turning inside a barrel. Pressure and friction force oil out through slots in the barrel wall. This recovers 60 to 70% of the oil. What comes out is crude canola oil, cloudy, dark, with a sharp bite. The leftover press cake still holds 30 to 40% of the original oil. Step 3. Solvent extraction. The press cake is washed with hexane in a sealed extractor. The solvent carries the remaining oil away. Heat then boils off the hexane, which is captured and recycled. The EU sets a maximum residue limit of 1 milligram per kilogram of finished oil. A 200-pound person would need to drink over 40 gallons of the most contaminated oil ever tested to approach a concerning exposure level. In October 2025, Greenpeace France tested 56 food products and found hexane residue in 36, including infant formula. The levels were under 25 parts per million. Step 4. Degumming. Water and phosphoric acid are mixed into the crude oil. The acid binds to phospholipids, gums, free fatty acids, and fine meal particles, everything that would cloud the oil and turn it rancid on a shelf. These compounds clump together and settle out. After degumming, the oil is cleaner but still dark, with a sharp, pungent smell that would put you off pouring it on anything. Step 5. Bleaching. Oil passes through a bed of natural clay that absorbs color pigments. No bleach is used, the name is misleading. The oil shifts from murky brown to pale yellow. Step 6. Deodorizing. Steam hits the oil at over 200 degrees Celsius, stripping out volatile compounds and the sharp cabbage-like odor of rapeseed. What remains is clear, nearly odorless, and tasteless, the neutral oil the food industry prizes. Each rapeseed is about 44% oil by weight. 23 kilograms, roughly 51 pounds, produces 10 liters of finished canola oil. 6 steps. 1 solvent. A seed turned into something you reach for without thinking. But this process did not start in a factory. It started on a warship in World War II. In 1942, every naval vessel ran on steam. Rapeseed oil clung to metal under steam and salt water better than any other lubricant. When war cut off supplies from Asia, Canada planted rapeseed at emergency scale across the prairies. That wartime oil was nothing like the clear liquid from those 6 steps. It carried over 40% erucic acid, a fatty acid that caused fat deposits in the heart muscle of lab animals with triglyceride concentrations 7 to 12 times above normal. No study confirmed the same damage in humans at dietary levels, and the deposits were often reversible. But the data was alarming enough to keep rapeseed oil off dinner tables for decades. two Canadian scientists decided to change the plant itself. Keith Downey and Baldur Stephenson, working independently at first, later in parallel spent over a decade breeding erucic acid out, one generation at a time. In 1960, Downey identified the first rapeseed plant with near-zero erucic acid. He invented the half-seed technique, split a seed, analyze the oil from one half, germinate the other if it passes. That single method saved a full year per breeding cycle and is still used worldwide today. In 1974, Stephenson released Tower the first double-low variety, safe for humans and livestock. 4 years later, the Rapeseed Association of Canada coined the word canola, short for Canadian oil, low acid. The warship lubricant had a new name and a new life. Downey is 98 and still advising the industry. Stephenson passed in 2002. Here is where the story flips. The oil Downey and Stephenson spent decades creating is now questioned by the government itself. 96% of American canola is genetically modified. The industry says the transgenic protein is removed during processing. The finished oil contains no modified material. That has not stopped the firestorm. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. labeled seed oils toxic. The 2026 dietary guidelines recommend olive oil, butter, or tallow over seed oils. Louisiana became the first state to require restaurants to disclose seed oil use on menus. One hand of the government tells Americans to drop seed oils. The other hand subsidizes the farmers who grow them. Here is what you do with this. Current evidence does not show canola oil is harmful at normal intake. Researchers at Tufts note that switching to butter or lard is likely worse for cardiovascular health. Erucic acid in modern canola sits below 2%. The original rapeseed carried over 40. These are different products. One comparison: mustard oil, high in erucic acid, is consumed daily by hundreds of millions in South Asia, but must be labeled for external use only in the United States. If hexane concerns you, choose cold-pressed or expeller-pressed canola no solvent, purely mechanical, but more expensive. If GMO matters, look for organic or non-GMO verified. If you want to skip canola, olive oil and avocado oil are alternatives, though olive oil fraud is its own industry. Butter and tallow are lower in essential fatty acids than any plant oil. There is no perfect oil, but now you know what that bottle went through. That is information most shoppers do not have. Next time you pick up that bottle, you are holding two scientists, a world war, 6 steps, a solvent that is cousins with gasoline, and a name invented because the real one was unsellable. That is the process. We reveal how things actually work one story at a time. If there is something you would like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.